Joining us now with more, Reince Priebus, Chairman of the Republican National Committee. Mr. Chairman, good of you to be here tonight. Your thoughts on whether indeed it is time for a special prosecutor in this case, and your proposal for getting around a clearly reluctant Justice Department, which would be needed to have one.
Well, clearly the DOJ can't investigate itself. The FBI already recommended an investigation of corruption in the Clinton Foundation. They declined to do it. Look, she's selling her time. She was selling her time as Secretary of State. So the question for the court
is our time.
Is it legal?
It's our time. She was on the clock for us.
That's right. I mean, and so the question for the court is, and you're a lawyer, is it legal to sell time of a Secretary of State based on the size of a donation to a private foundation controlled by that Secretary of State? That's what she was doing, and it's very clear that she was selling her time. The part that's even more...
It's very clear, but you correct me, there's an inference of it. There isn't the smoking gun. There's the Huma Abedin email to the Crown Prince of Bahrain, about him saying, all right, she accepts an invitation from the Clinton Foundation head to get that guy a meeting. She's like, all right, I'll take care, I got it, right? Like, I got it. But there's no... Right. Their point is, look, she met with a lot of people. Some happen to have had dealings with the Clinton Foundation, and to suggest that that's untoward or pay for play is unsupported.
Well, I mean, you have to put the pieces together. Look, it took them 3 years to get these emails out there in the public, and everything points to the fact that she had people like Brand and Huma Abedin that were working as go-betweens. Huma was employed by both the Clinton Foundation and the State Department. Mm-hmm. They took anywhere from $21 to $65 million from countries in the Middle East that have horrible records against women and gays and everyone else in between. She set up they helped an owner of a soccer team to help on a visa, so he gave money to the Clinton Foundation to take care of the visa problem. I'd say you'd have a pretty good advocate for a visa problem if you could get the ear of the Secretary of State to take care of the problem. So your point is this was an abuse of power. It was corrupt, and it was an abuse of the power with which she was imbued, that she used it not to help the United States or the American people, but she used it to help herself, to help her foundation. She used it to help herself.
And the donors
she lined her own... And they were lining their own pockets the whole way through, then following up and giving speeches for hundreds of thousands of dollars. What's also interesting is, look, now Bill Clinton is saying, well, if Hillary Clinton becomes president, we're going to step down from the Clinton Foundation. Well, how is that much different than being Secretary of State? I mean, not to mention the fact that they were using a private secret server to conduct a business that she tried to hide from us in regard to all of this information, let alone giving away state secrets.
Of course, but the question is whether any of this is going to matter to the voters, because, look, Hillary Clinton's problems with the emails and even with the Clinton Foundation have, to some extent, been outed already in the public. And yet still we've seen a race, Mr. Chairman, in which Donald Trump is not succeeding right now. That, the Real Clear Politics average of all polls has him down 5.5 points to her. Missouri poll came out today that shows them neck and neck. Mitt Romney won that state by almost 10 points. Donald Trump's down there in Texas today. What's he doing in Texas? States like Texas and Georgia, those are red states. What his critics say, he's playing defense in all of these states where he needs to be playing offense, and she's got the better ground game. To all of that, you say what?
So let me try to unwrap all of that real quick. Number one, he's in Texas because he's raising money, just like Hillary Clinton's in California raising money. She was in Cape Cod raising money. She was, obviously you have to go at times to fundraise in places like Dallas and Houston and Southern California, and that's what they're doing. As far as the polling is concerned, there was also polls that showed that Donald Trump was ahead in Iowa. He's ahead in Nevada. Yeah, he's got to be consistent, and I think they know that. I think that if he continues to be measured, continues to be prepared, consistent, like he has been, he's had a great week, I think those polls are going to narrow. And I do think that Donald Trump can do that, and I do think that the polls are going to narrow. Now, back to the original part of this interview. If you had a special prosecutor and someone that was actually going to do their job and investigate whether or not there's corruption and do what you'd expect our government to do in a situation like this, of course she's going to sink. And with Donald Trump being more consistent and doing what he's been doing, I think you're going to see by Labor Day the polls tight and even potentially him getting back ahead like he was after the convention.
By Labor Day. Okay, so Steve Bannon has taken over as the CEO of Trump's campaign. campaign. This is a guy who doesn't think much of your party and has come out and suggested he'd like to destroy the whole thing, according to a report that just hit yesterday in the Daily Beast, suggesting he's a Leninist, that he'd like to take down the Republican Party. He just doesn't like parties in general. You're the head of the Republican Party. What do you think of that?
Well, I never like unearned attacks, and we've been both on the good side and the bad side of that particular website. But look, there's so much media out there, Megan. I mean, there's so many websites. There's so many.
Well, you've seen Steve Bannon's website, Breitbart, which thinks absolutely nothing of your party and the so-called party elite. You know that.
Listen, I'm not a fan of some of the things that have happened, but I don't think it's been totally one-sided either. I mean, we've been on the receiving end of some good things from that particular website too. But I think you got to judge people moving forward, and I think so far, if you look at the way things have been going for the last several days, I think it's a continuation of Donald Trump staying on message, being disciplined. He's doing it again today. I think that's where he needs to be.
Reince Priebus, great to see you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Megan.